Good evening, Chris. How you doing?
Doing great. How are you doing?
Yeah, doing fantastic. I got James Jr. next to me here on the couch. We just been talking all things Flash tonight, and obviously wanting to go ahead with this monthly update call that I've been promising for the last month. And it sounds like we've had a moment to connect schedules. So to get started, tell us a little bit about Liechtenstein. Like, give us a bit of background. I mean, I understand for the most part what you're doing, but to get the people in the same sort of headspace, what's the correlation between the exchange in Liechtenstein that you've been building and Flash?
Well, let's start with why Liechtenstein and what's going on over there. I've been looking for a place to put an exchange somewhere in the world that would do all the things that I wanted to do. I wanted to do, and this is with a bunch of partners. I wanted to have an exchange that would, first of all, feature Flash, and second of all, that would be in a legal domicile where you actually had all the licenses that you needed to have. Most places, people who are operating exchanges do not have the correct licenses. Now, maybe someday in the future, they get big enough, the local authorities don't shut them down, and they say, okay, you can keep operating, but you're going to have to spend this much for a fine, and then you're going to do this, that, and whatever. And I just didn't want to do that. I wanted to have everything figured out up front. So Liechtenstein is a unique country. It's a micro-state. It's between Europe, between Switzerland and Austria. It's tiny. You can literally drive through the whole country in, 15 minutes. I think they have 2 McDonald's in that country. I've been to one of them. And, you get tired of Swiss food after a while. But they speak German, and it's like being a part of Switzerland. They have a monetary union with Switzerland, what that means, and a customs union. That means there's no border guard. They just basically, there's a little sign that says, you're not coming into Liechtenstein, and that's pretty much it. It's a banking haven and a tax haven. The difference between Switzerland and Liechtenstein is that if you had a payment business or an exchange type business in Switzerland, Switzerland is its own independent country. They took the immigration part of the EU, but they did not take the trading and monetary part. So they're not part of the economic area. Liechtenstein is part of the economic area. They did not take any of the refugees. So the place is literally pristine. It's a beautiful place. No litter. People are always smiling and friendly. Air's clean. There's no airport in the country. It's the largest country without its own airport. But you can just drive to Zurich about an hour, and you can get on a flight to literally anywhere in the world. And it's the only place I found where I've had meetings with the top bank regulators, and they said, you can do this, and here's how much it's going to cost. And then literally 2 weeks later, there's a law passed to do that.
Wow.
So it's an incredible venue for operating crypto business. There's no other place in the world like it. It has a reasonably good reputation. They signed out a fat guy in 2014. That's the nasty U.S. law signed by Obama that basically turns U.S. citizens into criminals overseas for having a bank account. And they can still have a bank account. They just make it so bad for the bank. No banks want Americans. So the other reason that we're there is that there's a bank, because in order to get one of these licenses, you usually have to have a bank. There's a bank that not only is very in favor of what we're doing, they're investing in what we're doing as well. So it's a fantastic story, and I think you're going to see some big things happening there. The corporation will be live in about another week, and we'll be starting an OTC trading desk there next week, probably end of next week. Already lining up some trades. But the main purpose, so for all of us Flash people, the main purpose that you're going to see out of this exchange is that Flash is going to be a major coin trading pair. What does that mean? That means that the coins that are listed on the exchange will be able to be bought with Flash. You won't have to go to Bitcoin. You won't have to go to whatever. We'll also do, because of the kind of licenses that we're going to be getting eventually, probably within 3 to 6 months, we will be offering US dollar tokens based on Flash technology. So you'll be able to keep the money in the bank, you'll be able to have some way of redemption, and you'll be able to, which is different than Tether. Tether has no redemption. If you read the legal terms, they're based in Hong Kong. There's no audit. You don't even know if the money's in the bank for sure. And there's no legal claim to get your money out. So I don't know, maybe that 1.4 billion or whatever they have now is some kind of a retirement account for somebody. But I don't know. It seems kind of weird. But we won't have that issue with Flash in the exchange. So that's what's going forward. And I think that once we have an exchange where Flash is going to be the promoted and preferred way to move your funds in and out of the exchange, and also, of course, we'll take Bitcoins, Ethereum, whatever you want to bring in. But the main thing is that Flash will be front and center, and we're also looking at doing an airdrop to the 38,000 citizens of Liechtenstein. And it'd be similar to what happened with Aurora Coin, but Aurora Coin was pretty much of a scam. And this is, Flash is a real coin. We've got a real market presence. And I think that would be really interesting to get everyone in the whole country to know exactly what Flash is all about. And, these are people it's the wealthiest country in the world per capita. And all these people travel all over. So, in their travel, you tell 38,000 people who are wealthy and travel, and they'll tell all their friends too. That's an should be connection. Very, very interesting.
Yes.
So that's the bottom line with Liechtenstein.
And just out of curiosity, how did you latch on to the concept of Liechtenstein? Was it just through your connections, through your research, just your knowledge, what you know of the industry?
Well, it was connections. I met somebody at a conference about a year ago, and he said, "Oh, you should really go look at Liechtenstein." I knew all about it. I knew where it was. I knew about some of the banking things that were already in place there. But it turns out that for crypto, they have everything already in place. They have a very good and very solid banking system. There's only about 14 banks there, but they have banks that are used to dealing with privacy, because they're private banks, so they're used to doing things like asset protection. I think it's a very, very good and safe country. If you're looking for a safe place to put your money, that's probably one of the safest places I could think of.
So when do you move to Liechtenstein, my man?
Well, it's funny because I was talking with one of my attorneys there, and he said, I said I may need to be here for 6 months to help get this thing set up and get it going. And he said, well, you could probably just get a permanent residency just as easily. So I said, okay, maybe I'll do that. And then just hang out there. It's an absolutely beautiful place. The air is clean. The mountains, the Alps are so beautiful. I mean, it's always changing. The sun is changing all the time. The clouds are going by. It's a lovely place.
It's a haven in more ways than one, by the sounds of it. Well, that sort of answers my question. It really gives everybody a real insight as to why you're there, what you're doing, and the correlation between Flash. That's probably one of the most exciting prospects that I've been thinking about for the last month, because I know the hard work you've been putting into it. So it sort of gets me excited about when you talk about the market and adoption in the real world, as they want to call it. Obviously, FTI was a major announcement that sparked a bit of a rally there at the end of December and into the new year. And obviously, they've got plans to adopt Flash and so on and so forth. Can you just give us an update on where the next market movement or the next big thing that's going to come from FTI? Is there anything on the agenda in the next month?
Well, I had a call with them today, and they are actually on schedule to raise the money. They've got more than half of the $3 million is being sent in as we speak, and these are people who said they want to do it. They've got the paperwork, and they're sending it in. That's the first bit of news. The final contract will be done probably next week, because, as you know, we had a non-binding LOI and it's going to be a binding contract. That'll be done next week. Then we had some other things with the barter exchange, and we're going to start doing transactions using Flash. So Flash coin holders are going to be able to go and spend their Flash with these exchange, with the barter exchange. So let's say you want a timeshare in Las Vegas, or they have someone who's got to close out on 15 cases of olives, or whatever it is that's in the exchange. You'll be able to use Flash to buy these things. People are very keen to get Flash because they see, first of all, I mean, what else can they take that the price goes up potentially, and what else can they? And it's a good way for them to deal with this. What's being bartered is usually excess inventory, and so for them, they've already made their profit on their business. They have a little bit of extra inventory remaining from whatever run they did, and it's a way for them to get something for it, and they can get something of value that they could use. They could use a hotel room, or they could use a timeshare, or whatever it is. It could be boxes of tools, or it's kind of a grab bag. But the issue with barter is they've never had a good tool that is not money, that can be used like money, and that can help them for settlement. That's what Flash is all about. That's where Flash shines. And I looked at this as an ideal market for something like Flash well over a year ago, and that's now coming to fruition. We'll have our first trades probably by next week, and if anyone's interested in buying things with their Flash, let me know. Just go and put something in the Discord chat room, and I'll put you in touch with the right people.
I'll get on that.
Yeah, no, I knew, James. I knew you'd be all over that. And
I'm in.
I think this is really seeing the vision. This is the vision that we had for FTI, which is, make it real, get people to actually transact in Flash, and complete the transaction. That's really what it's about. So we're going to do that, and they're going to get the funding. There's going to be a lot of exciting things that I think are going to happen. It's a public company, so I can't tell you too much, but all I'm going to say is that what we promised. There's a 95% chance it's going to be delivered within the next several weeks, certainly by the end of February.
Right.
And some of this stuff takes time, like even just sending wires now. I mean, I had to send some wires to Liechtenstein to get these companies established. It took like 4 days.
Jeez.
And I mean, this is, you wonder why business in the world has just ground to a halt. It's because the speed of money is now, it's like someone's boot is on your neck. And that is the current banking system. And it's because of the way that they're imposing all these KYC rules where they already know who you are. I mean, you got a bank account, and then they want to make sure that it's okay for you to send your own money to somebody that you want to send it to, which is insane. And that's another good reason for using crypto coins like Flash or Bitcoin, because you don't have to get anyone's approval. It just goes through.
Right. Obviously, there's a big difference between Bitcoin and Flash, but the Bitcoin's just another avenue that seems to be getting more and more pricier as the day goes by. But thanks for that quick update on FTI. And for all the people wondering, that's a pretty good insight as what to expect over the next little while. There's always a lot of questions about marketing, and all the newcomers come into the channels and, what are you guys doing for marketing? And I myself know all about it. James, you want to say something?
Sure. If anybody's wondering who I am, my name's James, and I'm on the threads every once in a while. And I always encourage, because this is a community coin, for everyone in the community to participate in marketing however they see and deem fit, according to their own abilities. And what's really exciting is I just got off the phone earlier today with a fellow from Miami who is launching a new website called bitmania.io. It's not completed yet, but it is online, and you can check that out. And I think there's some cool collaborations with an NYU grad who's got a very popular and growing crypto blog that's out there. I think it's called Cryptomania. Yeah, that's another one that's out there, and these are very pro Flashcoin sites, but they're very informational by nature. So Flash is not a primary target for these sites, but they are very educational. And the Bitmania guy was mentioning how he's very pro Flash. There's another website out there called Crypto Embassy, who's run by a fellow who's actually an immigration lawyer, and his site is getting a lot more popularity, and it's very informational in regards to Flash. So these are just individuals who are Flash coin holders who are doing their part. I was just recently in Cartagena, Colombia, over the holiday season, and one of a big enthusiast who's now a Flash coin holder. He's obviously a speculator in crypto, but he's also very educated, and he's a software engineer. His plans for Flash is he is going to be hosting a node in Colombia. So we're going to help expand the ability for Flash to be sent around the world a lot more efficiently. The more nodes there are, the bit, like I think Bitcoin's got tens of thousands of nodes, and I think Flashcoin's got maybe 20 or 30. So that's expanding, and that's a good thing. I might be wrong on that number, but it's just something just off the top of my head. And what's really cool is that this individual, being a software engineer, is currently working on an app that is the target is to create human ATMs. Now, what does that mean?
What the hell's that, James?
What that means is that the technology was originally made as an ambulance finder for people in distress. They could basically enter the app, say they need help, and it would indicate what the closest ambulance is in their proximity, so you could help reduce the risk time for getting to and from the hospital. And so in this particular instance, I asked the individual if his team could reskin the product. So it looked, obviously, it was like Flash Cash in a Dash app, and he said I could probably do something like that. And what the plan is that because with this Liechtenstein relationship and the ability to have additional exchanges throughout the world, like this coinexchange.io is really fast. People can actually send money through the remittance plan that Flash has always talked about. And let's say you're in Santa Fe, New Mexico, or something like that, and you send $200 worth of Flash to someone in Cartagena in Colombia, your auntie, for example, and now she's got this $200 worth of Flash, but she doesn't know how to cash it out. She opens up Flash Cash in a Dash app, and lo and behold, there's 3 guys within a 5-mile radius that can come to her and purchase her Flash offer for cash then and there. Very, very cool. And that's just another example of someone who's a Flash holder, who has technology experience, who has vision, and who understands that Flash is a crypto coin that is community-based, and it's from the efforts and the promotion of its community that's going to make it popular and make us all potentially very wealthy.
That's an amazing concept. Flash Cash and Dash, hey? That's the Flash ambulance. Well, that's pretty... Now, I guess one of the questions on Telegram was, are there any specific plans on how to advertise the functional aspects of a Flash coin more effectively? If you have any idea, how would you advertise? I mean, I could go and say a couple of things, but Chris, please just give us a quick 2-minute spiel, basically on the functional aspects and how are there any plans on the specific target audiences and advertising campaigns on these aspects we talk about?
Well, as a community coin, that is a low-tax community coin. In other words, we don't have high transaction fees that we can use to go and bribe people with. So basically, we have to go past the hat with the community. We're not going to do any 30-second TV spots. I actually had a company, we did $200 million worth of those, and they don't work very well. We're not going to go and take out magazine ads. We're not going to go do any of that stuff. What we will do is we'll do PR. We will upgrade the website. We're going to focus on that. I think the key thing, if if any of the listeners have been to California or the Western U.S., there's a chain of hamburger stands called In-N-Out Burger, and the quality of the food in In-N-Out Burger is so good. They don't advertise at all. They don't give away toys. They don't do anything. All they do is have a very high quality product, and people just keep coming back, and they tell their friends, and everyone loves it. That's really the best approach. We have to focus on that first. Then I think we could look at ways to advertise. I mean, part of this is because it's a community coin. T-shirts, hats, coffee cups, all this kind of stuff. I mean, these are the kind of things that I want to do. I want people, what I would rather do than spend money on an ad is to take 1 million Flash coins and give them away to people and get them to start using them. That to me is, to give you the example, the whole country of Liechtenstein. We're giving Flash to everybody in the country, and there's 38,000 people, so if you give everybody a couple hundred coins, it's manageable. It's a few million Flash coins, and you've given it to the whole country. So, that's really, you're not going to see traditional, big money kind of marketing. That's not what Flash is. There are companies like Dash. They've done an excellent job of their marketing. They have issues with legal problems. They're based in the U.S., and I think they're going to have some issues there with that. But they did do a very good job with the marketing. Now, they also have a lot of nodes, and they have to pay a lot of people for all the mining that they do. It's a staked coin, and 60% of the coins are tied up in the staking. So that's a coin that's probably never going to be spent. It's almost $1,000. So it's not a spendable coin. It's a coin that's going to be hoarded, and that is going to be primarily used just to keep the nodes happy. Right. So, our business model is different. Our governance model is different. And, what I would say is the difference to the marketing is it comes from the heart. That's really the bottom line. So, and we love to sponsor. There are a lot of people who have a lot of Flash. Some people were fortunate, got it in a pre-sale. Some people got it for, 20, 30, 40 Satoshis back when it was like that for a long time. And those people who are now sitting on Flash that's 500 Satoshis, what we ask people to do is take 10% of your gain and give it back to the community. And you can do it in a variety of ways. Do it in a marketing thing. Do it in whatever. As far as coordinating everybody with logos and tools and things like that, that's actually the thing we're focused on. So if you look at the new website, which you can't see yet because it hasn't been released, it'll be coming out in the next week or so. And Deepak is very serious about making sure that he maintains his promises in the roadmap. But you're going to start to see some of the things, the merchant tools, the areas on the website for the human ATMs, all these kind of concepts. And that is what's going to be different about Flash, is the utility that's being offered and created by the community that will allow people to use Flash in new and better ways. That's basically it.
I have an example, Chris, of just that kind of thing. There's a group in Vancouver where I live, and they have a very, very cool, very progressive community, and they've got an organization called Unite. They do some really cool musical and spiritual type of events. They really bring the community together, and everyone's got a really big heart, and they do a lot of summer festivals and that type of stuff. And they approached me and they said, hey, we really dig Flash because we want to start using Flash for purchasing tickets for our events. Is that possible? And I said, of course it is. And he said, well, is there any way that I can incentivize these people to get them familiar with Flash, and how can we spread the word? How can we contribute? We've got a database of several thousand people. What do you think we can do? And I said, well, why don't we pick some arbitrary number like 555, and we'll offer 15 coins to the next 555 people who open up a Flash wallet. And the guy got all excited, and he created this big, huge invitational Evite and kind of things with MailChimp and a whole bunch of things. And
I'm looking at your laptop
he went out on all his social media channels, his Facebooks, his Twitters, and all that stuff. And lo and behold, if I haven't given away several thousand Flash here in the last week, and it just keeps adding up and up and up and up. But what's happened is, as a result, is my friend was in town from Nova Scotia, which is way on the other side of the country, and he said, "You'd never believe what happened the other day." And I said, "What's that?" He goes, "As you know, I own, just shy of 1 million Flash." And I said, "Yeah, congratulations, Blake. It's awesome." And he says, "I was in my racket club the other day, and I'm in the shower area, and this guy comes out off the racquetball court, and he's talking to his buddy on the phone about Flash." And he's curious because he knows all about Flash. And he says, "What do you know about this Flash thing?" And the guy says, "Oh, man, what do you need to know?" He goes, "A good friend of mine turned me onto it, and from Vancouver, he got 15 Flash from this musical concert he went to. He just signed up. He got a bunch of free Flash. He bought a bunch in the market, and holy smokes, if he hasn't made a bunch of money." And so my friend from Nova Scotia was telling me this, and I said, "Hey, that's a great story, but be careful when you talk to people about saying making money, because we're not financial advisors. We can't tell people that they're going to make money from Flash, but if we recognize Flash as a utility coin that can be spent, and we use it within our community, well, that's where the value comes from." And he goes, "Man,
exactly.
Why do you have to blow my high, man? I'm having a good time telling you this story." And I said, "I'm just trying to keep you safe, but the most important thing is that little tiny things like that, and this community that's giving it away, it's my Flash, but it's now theirs, because the more people that get it in their hands, the more probability of us having this type of success and maybe getting into the top 100 cryptos on the planet that actually can be spent and not just speculated on."
Yeah, that's.
So, there's one other thing I want to add to what James just said. This is the thing that's become that I've become aware of very much through the whole process of helping to create Flash with a team of people, building this community. One of the things you realize is, because Flash has a fixed number of coins, there's no inflation. And what that means is that the more the coin gets used, the higher the price goes. And what that does is it builds in a loyalty program. There's a built-in loyalty program to all the people who are community members. Now, what does it take to become a community member? Not much. All you have to do is just go get some Flash. You're automatically a member of the community. So the more that you give away, the more that you help Flash, the more that you do better yourself. So it's really a virtuous business model that relies on your generosity, and it pays itself back. That's the beautiful thing.
There we go. That's what more do you need to know about marketing when you're hearing it straight from the man himself, and just hearing those stories alone, I think it's testament enough for people to realize what it's going to take to build the value of Flash. But once again, we're not financial advisors to people who hold Flash. We're just wanting to get the use case out there into the real world. I sort of want to keep this within 30 to 45 minutes, and we're just sort of approaching the 30-minute mark right now. Obviously, we've had a lot of contributions and a lot of Flashes doing. Have we come up with a name for Flash holders? Flashes, Flashonians? Do we?
Well, I think people decide for themselves what they want to use. If they want to use Flashers, that's cool. We're fine with that. If they want to be Flashonians, Flashanians, I don't know, whatever they feel like being, they could be. That's fine with me.
Yeah. Well, a big contributor in the recent month or two is come from one of our guys on all the different channels. Stack, he obviously runs our Twitter account, and he came to me with a pretty serious question, like something he wants to know a little bit more about. And he goes, "How is this decentralized if Flash owns the servers that host the mining?" Is a question I have, and I've seen it a few times. What is the block size and the speed? So, have you got anything to say about that, Chris?
Yeah, well, the first of all, there's no company. No one owns. Flash doesn't own anything. Flash is a ghost. It doesn't exist. The servers are run by the community. There's someone in Iceland who runs one. There's someone in California who's one of our developers who runs another one. I actually help pay for it, and there's someone else helping to manage a server in Canada. We're going to have, that's 3 data centers. People say, I don't know if I like it being in a data center. And I'm like, well, do you like Bitcoin? Because Bitcoins are all mined in data centers. You don't mine Bitcoin in your home anymore. It's all a professional operation at a data center. your Bitcoin transaction is determined by 3 guys in China. That's the reality. It's all been centralized to the point now where there are 3 mining pools with 75% of the hashing power, and these are guys based in China. So the reality is that, and Bitcoin still, even with the increased centralization, Bitcoin still can't process all these transactions. They're still stuck at about 7 to 15 transactions a second. So that's the first thing. The block size right now is set for 2K, but it can get as big as you want. It can get to, this is the other advantage. You can set the block size bigger. The frequency of blocks is every 10 seconds, but it only triggers a block when there is a transaction to process. Why? This is very, remember, we wanted this to be eco-friendly. So we wanted to maintain the minimum blockchain size, but the maximum service and quality of transaction speed. So that's the trade-off, and that's pretty much where the blockchain is right now. So if there are more technical questions that I don't have the answer to, Deepak, and there's a number of people out there in our community who can get you all those answers.
Perfect. That's. I hope that answers your question to the best ability. There, Stack. I just got a couple of last ones. So obviously everybody's keen to hear about the next big exchange that's going to hit the market. Obviously we've got the ones that are being voted by the community. Obviously we don't speculate. You don't speculate. No one speculates. It's only when it's fact, that's when we spread the word. Can you give us any sort of insight or any update on anything big that's going to come from an exchange perspective aside from the ones that we're voting on in the community?
Well, I can tell you the ones that I think are closest. There's one in India and one in Korea. Those are the ones that are the closest.
Okay.
And the way these things work, we just recently lit up coinexchange.io. So I would encourage our community to go there and support the exchange. I mean, obviously, we collected funds from the community to pay the listing fee. That one was 2 Bitcoins. And, these things have gotten expensive. So what we have to do is we have to go support the exchange once we're in there, and get the volume up. I mean, we've got some halfway decent volume on Cryptopia, but we need to share the love and support. I mean, I believe there's probably enough business for someone just to make a living arbitraging between different exchanges for Flash.
Yep.
So that means they just go and buy it cheap somewhere and sell it higher somewhere else. That's all arbitraging is.
I'm doing that on Coin Exchange right now as we speak.
Cheeky.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's a way, you can actually pay some bills doing that. And, once the volume gets even higher, people are going to literally make a living off of Flash. That's another thing I'm very happy to see.
Great. Well, hope that answers.
As far as big, the other question is, so as far as big exchanges, I don't have any news to report, but I will say this. I'm the chairman of the Alphabet Fund, which is a large digital currency investing fund. And some of the other people on the fund, I met with them, and they're pretty confident that you'll see some action from some of the big guys in China fairly soon.
There you go.
That's all I can say.
And that's all you need to say. As simple as that. Okay, and there's obviously been chatter about a Flash debit card, and what does this person ask? What will the process be? How will the Flash debit card work? Would the user be able to use it in ATMs for direct Flash to fiat transfers? And will the debit card fiat exchange work worldwide? For example, would someone in India with Flash be able to use the card in an ATM to withdraw fiat? So, any updates there? Any sort of insight to what people can expect in the next 6 to 12 months without giving too much of a eye-opener?
Well, here's the thing. The first thing is the credit card companies make their own rules. They're associations. They're now corporations. They used to be associations. You got MasterCard, Visa, Eurocard, and then a number of others. But those are the primary ones in Europe, North America, and even other parts of the world. They have recently cracked down on crypto. So cards like BitPay and other cards are now, some of these cards are not functioning. And what's happening is I was just meeting with somebody from the bank in Liechtenstein. That's one of their projects. You have to do this with a bank. You need a bank to sponsor you to be the issuing bank. They're the ones who issue the card. So that's why it's so important. That's why I spent the last 2 weeks in Liechtenstein. Why that project is so important is because that bank relationship is how we're going to get this card. Now, what the capabilities of the card are, ideally, you can do all those things. You've got 40 million merchants worldwide that you can now spend your flash on. You've got ATMs, a whole network of ATMs that you can pull your flash out from. Now, keep in mind, it's expensive. The merchant fees are around, 3 to 4%. They charge fees on holding the card, an annual fee, but mainly they make a lot of money on the fees where they charge the merchant. So it's still a little bit up in the air, but that's what we're hoping for. That's probably 3 to 4 months down the road. I know the program that they're working on. In fact, the guy who's been working on that is going to be helping us with compliance with Mammoth. So I spent quite a bit of time talking to him about what the problems are. The problems are mostly on the side of the card associations and the card companies. They are going to have to decide what they want to do when they grow up. If they decide not to embrace crypto, if they decide we're going to put up a wall and we're going to keep crypto out, you will see a full frontal assault on all of their merchants. Because a merchant who takes a credit card, as soon as they find out they can take Flash and it's basically free, what do you think they're going to prefer? They're going to put a big sign that says, "We accept Flash." We're seeing that in places like Venezuela, but we need real marketing. That's where the marketing is building all of the tools inside the web wallet so people can print merchant point of sale stickers, so people can just print stuff out with their laser printer or with their inkjet printer, and just literally tape it to the cash register.
Right.
That's what we want to see. And that, as soon as that happens, you're just going to see people go around these people. You want some cash? Great. Let's contact the human ATM. Why give the money to the bank? Give it to the person who's driving the tuk-tuk in Bangalore. I'd rather give my money to that person than a bank. So that's really the choice that people are going to make, I think. And once we get these networks together, keep in mind, credit card network was not built in a day. It took years. It took decades to build that. Crypto could build the same thing probably in 1 to 2 years.
There we go. Well, I hope that answers everybody's question with regards to what's ahead in terms of debit card and Flash to fiat and so on and so forth. I mean, I think that's all I have in terms of a lineup of questions here. I mean, I'm a key part of the conversation we just had there regarding the Rome wasn't built in a day sort of thing, and that's what it's been like for Flash for the last 8 months. I think we were listed on Cryptopia around July 1st, and we had that phone call. I think it was July 1st. I was sitting with James having a phone call with you and a bunch of people on the phone, and it took maybe 6 months for there to be a little action and some news. But once again, you only spill the beans once there's fact, and people constantly asking about this and that and exchanges and when's it going to happen. And Rome wasn't built in a day. If you're a believer in the coin, you want to contribute to the coin and be a part of its future. Hodl, you spread the word, bring it into the real world. And I mean, I always laugh about it, but my buddy I used to work with, I've said this story a bunch of times on Discord, but I can't stop laughing about it. He's a conservative accountant and whenever I talked about crypto, he just didn't want to hear my voice. He was like, "Oh, whatever, it's fraud, it's this, it's bubble, la la la." And I started talking about Flashcoin, and he understands the value of getting in on something when it's cheap and making money. And that's not what Flash is all about. And I was more so keen to demonstrate to him the use case of it in the real world. And I already explained to him how I had transferred funds back to Australia to family and friends in a matter of seconds. So I said, "All right, you pay for my next 2 lunches, whatever, $40, ended up being $30 Canadian, and at the time I sent him $30 Canadian worth of Flash. That was 6,000 Flash. And just early in January, maybe 3 weeks ago, I texted him and said, "Hey, check out the price." And he goes, What do you mean?" I said, "You bought it half a penny, and it's now 25 cents, and your $30 is almost worth $2,000 Canadian." And he freaked out. And I said, "Well, you know, I don't care about the price. It's all about the usability in society." So I just wanted to harp on that and have a good laugh, because he now brings up Flash every now and again, and he's no longer that skeptic behind it all. But anyway, any final parting words, Chris, before we log off?
Well, I think, I want to thank everybody for their patience and for using Flash. The thing I just ask everybody is to go make friends with Flash. And, this is it's a person-to-person, literally a person-to-person thing. It's if you look at how Bitcoin was started, we have to do the same thing. We have to go from person to person. Most people do not even know what crypto coins are. The best way to show somebody is to send them 10 Flash. And the thing with Flash is you can send tiny amounts. You can send it to people, and you can send it to them on their phone. There's a web wallet that works pretty well on the phone. You can send it to a desktop, whatever it is. They can almost immediately get an account, and then they can get the coins. So that, to me, that's the parting words that I want to leave people with is, don't think about the price. That's the last thing. I never think about the price. I like it to keep going up. In an ideal world, the price would go up, 1 Satoshi every 10 hours or something. But that's not the reality. The reality is it goes up and it goes down. But I think people can see the overall trend is it's going up. If you look at when you start getting more and more adoption, you look at those number of wallets, you look at the number of addresses with balances right on the front page, and you can see exactly, that's the scorecard to see how we're doing. And that is that's the metric that we use. And that all comes from people like you who take some of your Flash and give it away or spend it. You don't have to give it all away. You can spend it too. But the main thing is that you're keeping the Flash moving, and that someone new is learning about Flash. That's how it is. That's all I want to say. Perfect.
And whilst we're on the phone call here, I just logged onto the flashcoin.io website just to reiterate where we're at right now in terms of addresses with balances. We're currently sitting at 433,215 addresses with balances. We have a total of 72,000 web wallet signups. I'll be excited to see where we're at when we have our next phone call, whether that be in a month or just a little over or under. But thanks for your time tonight, Chris. I know you're tackling some jet lag, so we won't keep you up at this oddly hour of 9 p.m. PST. But thanks for everything.
It's not that late here. It's not that late here in California, but in Switzerland it would be. Let's see, what is that? 6 a.m.
Burning the midnight oil.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool. Well, that's it for this roundup of Flash, and look forward to sharing another episode with everybody in the next month or so.
Perfect. Thanks, everybody. Cheers.
Cheers.